Hey guys, Paradox here, and today I'm showing you my deck from hell. Decent hand. Be nice if I could have drawn some easier to summon guys. See, that's for Sloth. Ooh, what isn't he? No, he's for Pride. Okay, let's see what his things do. Cannot be destroyed by battle. Send the top card to the ground. I guess I'll have to do this. Why is it moving? There we go. Which one do I want? Oop, didn't want to do that. But yeah, they don't. Anyway, can't be destroyed by battle. Can this one? Yeah. Look. Any effects that boost their attack is negated until the end phase. Anyway. Attack with Gluttony. Oh. Oops. I was thinking of conquest, not war. this to Gluttony. You really want to keep those in defense to stop war, don't you? You can Oh, and by the way, do you guys think this card is unfair? I can add one Dark Destroyer to my hand and special summon all Dark Destroyers from my hand, and they can all attack directly this turn, but any attack gain for them is negated until the end of the turn. I don't think it's extremely unfair. Well, that could be helpful. Well then. I would think they'd want to return something to my hand, but eh. Oh, wait. Okay, so that's actually good that we just did that, by the way, for those of you that don't know. Because while it's banished, it counts as a monster, and this deck relies heavily on banishing monsters. I wouldn't say relies heavily, but it uses it a lot, I guess, would be a better way to put it. Okay, so he's probably not gonna touch. Ooh, which one? Played what? Ooh, what's this thing do? Target one card on the field. Okay, what are you destroying? Ooh, get out of there. Oh, speaking of which, what do we get here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I would need 2 tributes. Well, why don't we start with Prince of Shadows? Because, I mean, yeah, I might as well. Effect, special summon him, banish this, 2, 3, 4, and you know what, he's already in my graveyard. 5. Oh. What am I thinking of? Oh. You to the grave, you were in my hand. You were on the field. And these 2 were in my deck. Wow, I'm just amazing right now, aren't I? Either way, I should still summon Wrath, so let's change up the plan a little bit. And wow, I'm doing great right now. Messing up what cards are and what they do. Getting an awful... Do I even have enough monsters? Let's see. 2, 3... Wait, 2, 3... Yeah, I only have 5. I need 1 more. And then I can banish everything to summon our boss. Well, one of them. We have 2 bosses in this. This one's Now, I know this thing says it gains 6,000 attack, but it can't do damage, so not that big of a deal. It's more just, hey, you can't do anything to me because I'm awesome. I literally just need to draw one more of my monsters, and then I can actually summon this guy, which is great, because that means I can summon this guy for permanent protection. Well, never mind, we died. Well, let's go look at the deck. Since, you know, worst hand ever right there. But, usually this deck works great. So here's what we've got. One copy of each Dark Desire. One copy of each, I'm gonna go over what they do, obviously, of each Dark Deceiver. One copy of each Dark Destroyer, and one copy of each Dark Demon. And I'm gonna go over what they do individually in a minute. Then we've got 2 copies of our field spell, 2 copies of Breaking the Four Seals, 2 copies of Gift from Thine Lord, 2 copies of Deliverance of Dark, 2 copies of His Wrath, and for traps we've got 2 copies of Trickery, 2 Escape from the Dark Dimension, 2 Dark Bribe, 3 Dark Illusion, and 1 The First Monarch. In our side deck we've got Samuel Lightbringer, which we will go over. But first let's go over what's in the actual deck. We've got Dark Desire Greed. When it's level 1, obviously they're gonna, I put them in order, but level 1, attack and defense unknown, question mark. When this card is summoned, shuffle your graveyard into your deck. If a card is sent to the graveyard or banished, including this card, place it on the bottom of the original controller's deck instead. Draw 1 card during your standby phase. While this card is on the field, there is no limit to the number of cards in either player's hand. This card's attack and defense are equal to the number of cards in your hand times 5, that period shouldn't be there, times 500. Next we've got Envy, level 2, 1525. When your opponent activates a card, if you have the proper zone available, so like if your field is completely full, you can't use this effect, place that card on your side of the field and act as if you've activated it instead. So pretty much you steal a card from your opponent when they play it. When your opponent adds a card from their deck to their hand, except during their draw phase, by the way, this first effect should say once per turn, add 1 card from their hand to yours. You can only activate 1 Dark Desire Envy effect per turn, and only, oh, I did include that, and only once that turn. Gluttony you saw me play, but no, it does. It's a 2,300 with level 3. They're all going to be fiends, by the way. If this card destroys a monster by battle, it becomes equipped to this card, and it gains half the attack and defense of monsters equipped to it. If it would be destroyed at all, you can detach a card equipped to it. Then we've got Lust, which is our level 4. Once again, attack and defense unknown. When your opponent summons monster, special summon this card from your hand, it gains the following effect. This card's type, attribute, level, attack, and defense are equal to that of one monster your opponent controls. Pride, if your life points are higher than your opponent, this card's original attack becomes 3,000, which its actual printed attack and defense are 0 and its higher level 5. If your life points are lower, its defense becomes 3,000. This card cannot attack your opponent directly. Our 6 is Sloth, once again 0 attack and defense. If this card is attacked, the battle damage is halved. This card cannot be destroyed by battle. While your opponent controls monsters, this card's defense becomes 3,000. While they control no monsters, its attack becomes 3,000. If this card attacks, it is changed to defense position until your next standby phase. Damage dealt by this card is halved. So, you know, even though it's a 3,000, it can only deal 15. Then we've got Wrath, which is 7. It's at 2015. Once per turn, destroy one card in the field. If you do, inflict 500 damage to the controller. If a card you control except this card, or a card destroyed by this card's effect, destroy one card your opponent controls and inflict 1,000 damage to your opponent. This card cannot attack if its effect was used this turn. Then we've got the Dark Deceivers, which are, depending on the research you do, the 7 forms of Satan, the 7 princes of hell. There's a couple different... Why are these ones visible but not these? Anyway, we've got Dark Deceiver Mammon. By the way, they each have the same thing. They can only be summoned by banishing their matching sin. They gain the effects of their sin, as well as the attack, defense, and level. And they have their own little thing. For example, this card says your opponent cannot draw except during their draw phase. I can't talk right now. Leviathan, you banish Envy, and once per turn you can take control of one of your opponent's monsters until that should say end phase. For Gluttony is Beelzebub. If your opponent would gain life points, you gain the same amount. For Lust, it's Asmodeus. Monsters with less attack that your opponent controls must attack this card if able. For Pride, it's Lucifer. This card cannot be targeted for attacks and is unaffected by your opponent's card effects, it should say. Or just spell/try. That's wording. This one is for Sloth. It cannot attack directly. And then we've got Satan, who you would think would be the boss monster, but is not. When this card is summoned, destroy all other cards on the field. Which, again, because of Wrath, you wouldn't get to use this effect, actually, because they're all being destroyed, not just... Anyway, for our Dark Destroyers, we have Conquest, who I kept confusing with War. If this card attacks or is attacked, your opponent's monster is destroyed before the damage step. For War, your opponent's monsters can't change battle position unless it's by this card's effect. Once per turn, change a monster to face-up attack position. If a monster can attack, if your opponent's monsters can attack, they must. If this card is attacked, it gains attack equal to that of the attacking monster until the end phase. Famine. During each of your standby phases, your opponent's monsters lose 500 attack. This card gains 300 attack for each card affected during each of your standby phases. So pretty much every time this card's effect is activated, it gains 300 attack for each monster that lost attack. Then we've got Death. 400 attack for each card in both players' graveyards, and once per turn you can special summon one monster from either player's graveyard to either player's side of the field. And then we've got our boss monsters, Dark Demon Prince of Shadows and Dark Demon Man of Sin. So we've got the devil, but, you know, not Satan or Lucifer, just the devil, I guess. And we've got the Antichrist. Sure, why not? You can special summon this card from the hand by banishing 6 Dark D monsters from your hand, field, and or graveyard. It can only be summoned by its own effect. If this card is successfully summoned, you can add 1 Dark Demon from your deck or graveyard to your hand. If this card attacks or is attacked, this card gains 6,000 attack until the end phase. Neither player takes damage from battles involving this card. Once per turn, you can special summon one banished Dark D monster, ignore summoning conditions. Then we've got Man of Sin. You can special summon this card if you have at least 6 Dark D monsters banished. This card can only be summoned by its own effect. This card is unaffected by your opponent's card effects. During each standby phase, inflict 600 damage to your opponent. This card cannot be targeted for attacks. Then let's go into the spells and traps. Dark Demise, Seal of His Lordship. While this card is on the field, you can normal summon Dark D monsters without tributing. If a card you control is sent to the graveyard, you can banish one card from your hand and add one Dark D monster from Why can't I read this? Now I forgot where it was. If a card you control is sent to the graveyard, you can banish one card from your hand and add one Dark D monster from your deck to your hand, except a Dark Demon monster. If you have exactly 6 banished cards, your opponent skips their battle phase. Then, this is the one the guy was complaining about, Dark Deal, Breaking of the 4 Seals. Add one Dark Destroyer to your hand and special summon all Dark Destroyers monsters in your hand. All Dark Destroyer monsters you control can attack directly this turn, but any effect that boosts their attack is negated until the end phase if they do. So pretty much, if they attack your opponent directly, all their attack gains are negated. Dark Deal. Gift from Thine Lord. If a Dark D monster would be destroyed, both you and your opponent take 1000 damage, negate the attack or card effect, and the targeted card cannot be destroyed until your end phase. Dark Deal, Deliverance of Dark. Once per turn, you can banish one card you control, special summon one Dark D monster. Ignore summoning conditions. Dark Deal, His Wrath. Equipped only to a Dark D monster, the equipped monster can use its effect twice per turn. If the equipped monster would be sent to the graveyard or banished, banish this card instead. This card is treated as a monster while banished, which helps with this as well as this. Then we've got the only trap for this archetype, Dark Deal, Trickery. Now, it's pretty basic, but it does have a little boost if you happen to be using a Dark D deck, so it can work in any deck. When your opponent declares an attack, negate the attack and destroy the attacking monster. Your opponent takes damage equal to half the defense of the destroyed monster. Now here's the fun part. If this card is negated and or destroyed, special summon one Dark Desire from your graveyard. Then in the side deck we've got Samuel Lightbringer. And why can't I click on him? There we go. This card is treated as a Dark D and Hope monster, and Hope is the twin archetype for this deck. Well, for this archetype, it matches with it because I made hell. Why not heaven? This card can only be summoned by tributing one level 6 Dark attribute or level 7 Divine attribute monster. So, you can only summon this by tributing a Hope monster or a very few Dark D monsters. Oh, let me click on that. Now it's not letting me search. There we go. Anyway, this card's level is equal to that of the monster used to summon it. This card gains effects based on the attribute of the monster used to summon it. Divine. This card cannot be targeted for attacks, but your opponent can attack directly if you control no other attack targets. Inflict 700 damage to your opponent during each player's standby phase. Dark. This card becomes Fiend type and Dark attribute. This card gains 600 attack for each Dark D monster in your banished zone. So, yeah, sorry, this one took longer, because that duel was kind of long, even though I barely did anything. Sorry I couldn't show this deck off more. If this video wasn't going on for so long, I would go for another match. But, next week, assuming I get someone to play with next week, I will be showing off the matching archetype for this, which I already said is the Hope archetype. But I would love to see you guys use these cards. They will all be usable to you if you play on Duel Portal. If not, I suggest it. It's fun. And maybe if you want to wait until I reveal the Hope deck, why not? I don't care. But I would love to see you guys use this, or any other cards I've made. Until then, though, this film is brought to you by Paradox Productions, and I'll see you guys next time.